Calvin. I opened the door up and he just jumped right in. It's like he owns the thing. Well, it's actually warmed up a little bit today. We've been down in the single digits for, I'd say, close to a week. And you can see the ice is just starting to melt off the shed here. It's amazing. You spend enough time in the single digits or hovering around 0 degrees, and it's currently 22 degrees out right now, and it feels like a little bit of a heat wave. Well, generally it would still be pretty cold. Well, I want to talk about the tires in the front of the 76. I've been getting a couple questions about how they're holding up and what I think of them, and it's been not quite a month. What is today? It's March. Well, it's the first week of March, and we're on about a week shy from having these on for a month. Well, to be fair, we really haven't been using the tractor for much more than plowing some snow and then feeding bales. As you can see, the bale mover is still on the back. I kind of messed up the other day. I hooked the guardrail with the other tine. If you guys remember a couple years back, having this bale mover on the 76 is really causing a lot of wear and tear on the bale mover. And a couple years ago, I went through and I bent both of these tines back straight, and they've actually been holding up really well. I mean, this side is okay, but that side, yeah, just say it's just to the point. This tractor can lift up so much, and the tractor is heavier than like the 29 was. It bent that arm right down. So we got to do something with that. And we got Michelins on the rear of the tractor. These have been on for, I want to say, going on to 2 years. The only real thing I've noticed with these is that there is some checking on the sides here. This tractor is the main road runner, but you can see, for being even a couple years old, I mean, you got some cracks here from hitting who knows what, but there's still plenty of tread here. These were a very deep tread tire when we got them, and the tread is holding up really well. I'm hoping I can say the same thing about these. They're on the front here. A couple years down the road, I mean, they are, well, we still got some of the little nubs yet, but they're just now starting to get worn out. And I think it was on this other side. You can see that, where was it? It is around the edge here. We're starting to get a little bit of a wear and tear from digging in the dirt and the snow and the ice. That was the first thing I used this tractor for. After we got the tires put on new, I used it for plowing snow. Really helped, because, I mean, I can't do this without blinding you guys. These tires are pretty well shook. I mean, this tire, I mean, it wasn't doing anything, and this tire that was on the left side really wasn't too far behind it. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how this tractor does once we get into field work. A lot for like cutting hay. This is a big thing that comes to mind. Also like pulling the harrow, stuff like that. I really don't like running the front wheel assist any more than I have to. I don't run it in auto. I used to with like our 7400, but trying to reduce the amount of wear and tear on the tires so they're not constantly working, and you get that gradual wear on them, especially when going up and down the road. The front wheel assist, or the mechanical front wheel drive, their MFWD, that disengages about 8 miles an hour on this tractor. And the problem is, you can get a pretty good ways up the road driving on pavement before the front end disengages. And when you're on pavement, I mean, you're gonna wear them out just ever so slightly more, and I really want to avoid that. especially since I just got the bill for the things yesterday. And I don't know if you guys have really seen the back of my shed down here lately. We really didn't get it as full as we typically do. I really think I could have gotten the rake is down in the corn crib. But we did have that running gear from up at the farm, and we probably could have pulled a few items at the farm down here, so we had a little bit more room to work with the semi and everything. So the chisel plow, granted I didn't use it this much, and I don't know if I ever showed you guys, but I tend to do this at least once every year. For those of you that are eagle-eyed, you see this little gap right here? It's froze to the ground too. Well, you have to take my word for it. I busted a shank last fall, the last day I was running it. Last day, the last night. I don't exactly know how to say as far as how much chisel plowing we actually got done last fall. We didn't get nearly enough field work done, but it was frozen conditions when we were doing it. I didn't break that from working in frozen ground. I hit a rock. I pulled a rock up with it, and when I did break it, it made a pretty good pop too. My place, it's Rock City Central. Ryan just said that today. We gotta go through this spring and try to pick up a few more rocks. It's a yearly thing. It's an every other year thing. You go through, work the ground up. Typically it's nicer when you get the ground worked up in the fall. That residue gets worked in, it breaks down quicker, easier, more. So by the time spring comes around, when we have time to go through and start picking up rocks, at least devote the time to do it, you're not picking up or sifting through the residue, especially with that rock bucket. And don't get me wrong, as much as I like that Vernig grapple bucket, I mean, it's great for all sorts of things. I really did get it for picking up rock and everything out of the fields also. But the problem is that you still catch a lot of residue. I mean, it does sift the dirt out through it as long as the dirt is good and dry. If there's any moisture in the soil whatsoever, which I think it's pretty obvious we're going to have plenty of that this spring, and that is a little bit of a concern as far as being able to go through and pick rocks up. You really can't beat just going through with your hands, picking rocks up by hand. So nobody ever looks forward to doing that. That's one of those jobs. Say picking rocks is right up there with making fence. It's something that nobody is ever really first to jump up and say, let's go do it. But it's one of those jobs that you have to do. A lot of the fences down at my place need to be touched up, redone, or torn out, and just gone over from, see, this is what happens when I get ahead of myself. A lot of the fences down at my place, they are older than me, and we're getting to the point where a lot of them are getting to where they need to be torn out and just completely redone. We got a few stretches that the wire is still fairly healthy. It's just we got to go through and pull out some wood posts that are rotted off at ground level and put new posts in. The stakes are fine. Once we go through and redo the posts, we can go through and either loosen up the clamps and then put the wire stretcher on the other end and tighten the wires up. So it's I got a lot of things I want to start working on. It's just when it's froze like this outside and the bottom two wires are in the snow and you really can't find them. As far as trying to do a lot of the fencing and stuff like that when there's snow on the ground, just isn't going to happen. And hopefully by this weekend, everyone's kind of going back and forth as far as what the weather's going to do. Supposedly it's supposed to warm up and get nice out to a certain degree. It's supposed to be warmer. As far as saying it's going to get nice out, I don't think it's going to be. I think it's going to be a muddy, wet mess, because they were supposed to get, last I heard, up to an inch of rain on Saturday. And Ryan just said today that on Sunday it's supposed to get back down to freezing. So it could be a wash, rinse, repeat event where all this ice, and you can see I pretty well got a lot of the ice down in my place is melted off in the driveway. it could be a thing where it gets back to, we gotta go and buy a bunch of ice cleats for our boots so we can get around here again. So that's an update for today. Yeah, as far as the Michelin tires though, I like them so far. I don't want to say a whole lot about them, but the only thing I would say that I would have preferred is that I wish the tread on the front tires were a little bit closer, like the old Firestones, but it's not something I'm really going to hold it against them. It's not like I use the 76 a whole lot for heavy tillage. I mean, don't get me wrong, I've used it on the chisel plow before. My grandpa's 9-shank Glencoe. I chiseled about 5 acres with it, and then I also went through and I used it on the 630 disc. Can't remember how much. I've used it here and there on the 630 disc. It'll pull it, but it won't pull it very fast. And if the ground is already pre-worked, like if it was chiseled ground trying to pull, it was a pretty good workout for the tractor. And no, I'm not putting the duals on it. Everybody wants to see the duals in the back end. It just isn't going to happen. I'd rather buy a tractor with axle mounts or axle mount duals. So we're not going to get into talking about buying another tractor just yet. Okay, thanks for watching, guys. Stay warm, take care, take it easy, keep in touch. I'll talk to you guys later.
And now you know the rest of the story.